Welcome back to the 7th video in this series. In this clip we're going to be discussing velocity and sustain. Velocity really means how hard you hit a note on the piano keyboard or any MIDI instrument, any input instrument. And sustain really is just the right pedal on the piano, if you think of it that way, and how long a note is held on for. If you've used programs such as Sibelius before, then you'll understand that the music does sound very computer generated because each note is exactly the same volume. We're going to show you a few tricks today to change that. Okay, I've recorded the first 8 bars or so of Hey Jude by the Beatles. I'll let you listen to that first. Here it comes. Okay, that was me playing it on a MIDI piano. Now, because it was me playing it and not a computer, it sounded quite natural. There were different volumes in each of the notes. What I'm going to do is going to show you how to do that. Today, at the bottom of your screen here, it's not obvious, but if you go down to the very bottom and you can see where the icon for the mouse here just turns into this little line, if you click there, left click and drag up, you're going to see a whole host of little pointers and markers here. For today, what I've done is in here, if you click here, you'll see all the different controllers that you have here for your MIDI. We're going to deal with velocity and sustain today. I've already set this up, but you might not have that straight away. You might have to go and choose. So controllers, and then go into sustain, and that gives you your sustain controller. So if I was to put that in there, we'd have 2. So let's go back to putting in velocity. If I right click just in this white square, this little kind of a rectangle here, and we can actually change the size of this window. This time I'm going to put it to large just now. I'm going to drag it up a little bit further so I can see what I'm playing here. Remember R and T from a previous video for making it bigger, and so you can actually work a little bit easier in that, and then the trundle wheel will move up and down. So just now I'm going to move that down a fraction just so it's just taking up the screen there. So in here, in this section here, we have the velocity of each of the notes. Now it is editable, and what do I mean by that? Well, I can click on any note here. Here's the bass note here and the piano. Let's Control Z that. That note there, you can see is highlighted white now. So I can change how loud that note is just by grabbing it. And over here it says 75 just now. I can move it down to get it very, very quiet. It has a value of 1 up to value of 127. And do you notice that as I move it, the color of the MIDI changes as well. So you can see the hardest hitting notes are the ones which are darker. So if I click on this note on the screen, it's one of the hardest notes, and this one as well. But this is one of the lighter ones, and it's going to be softer. So if we're playing something and I wanted to put an accent, for example, to put a stress on a note, a sforzando, for example, accent on it, all I would have to do is take the note here and push it up and down. Let's listen to the beginning again, just watch some of that. Just watch the MIDI as we do it. Here we go. Okay, what I'm going to do this time, I'm going to mess about with a few notes. I'm going to move this up. Some of these are just little offbeats and they're quite quiet just now. there how that changes our music. Okay, maybe not the way I intended it, but you get the idea. Each individual note has its own velocity and can be changed. So it means if you wanted to get a little bit of feel, a different feel for the music, then you can easily adjust it that way. Okay, moving down to sustain. The right pedal on the piano is what we use really to sustain the notes, to give it again that kind of, it merges all the notes together. You can see that each bar, there's a different chord I played each bar, so I'm able to sustain that all the way through. And you can see I lift the piano down, lift the pedal up, and then put it down again each bar. And you can see me doing that. There's two changes of chords there, and you see me lifting it twice, and then it's just one lift per bar. So that's what I did with the sustain pedal. But we can change that as well. So look at the last chord here. Let's just play from the last bar and see what it sounds like. You hear the sustain carrying on. And the note continues. Just to demonstrate what the sustain pedal does, let's just click here and drag down, and really that takes the pedal right down again. So if I go in and I take it back to there again and listen to it once more, and the note stops straight away. So that gives you a little bit of editing in there, so you can actually go in and adapt and change your sustain there. So that's velocity and sustain, again making your music sound a little bit more human. And it means that, again, if you've input something that's incorrect or you're unhappy with, you don't have to re-record it again. You can adapt and change it in some of these parameters over here, sustain and velocity. Thanks for listening.